Then I noticed that every person I spoke to, every single client of mine, had these massive issues with money. They really didn't like talking about it with their clients. They struggled with receiving it like I had. And it made me realize that that's where I could help people most of all, by making money something that wasn't scary for women, but something that could be fun and friendly and down to earth and easy.
Welcome to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur, the podcast that helps you expand your reach and convert that reach into clients so you can lead your tribe with confidence and create change in the world while living the life you desire. And now your host, certified business coach and consultant, Mariana Ruiz.
This episode of the Impact Driven Entrepreneur is brought to you by my Become a Client Magnet Intensive. In this 90-minute intensive, you will learn how to attract ideal clients to you using your free content. So you'll learn how to actually monetize your free content, how to attract the right people and get the people to convert. In other words, to purchase from you from your free content. And I've walked hundreds of women through this process of creating your magnetic message and really starting to attract people to you through being yourself and not being pushy and not being salesy. So if that sounds like something that you want to do, go to marianacruiz.com/work with me, or just go to marianacruiz.com and click on the Work With Me page. Hi there, and welcome to the Impact Driven Entrepreneur. Today I have a very special guest, Denise Duffield-Thomas from luckybitch.com. And she and I are going to be talking about money mindset and some of the struggles that you might be going through as an impact-driven entrepreneur who really wants to help others through your business. So welcome to the show, Denise.
Mariana, thank you so much for having me. I know we're going to have such a juicy conversation today, and I can't wait to hear your questions.
Awesome. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with teaching people about money and empowering women with money.
Sure. So, oh my gosh, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Although I sucked at receiving money for it, even my very first businesses when I was a little kid, I was terrible at the money side of it. And I've always been a teacher as well. I've always loved teaching people, helping people transform their lives in different ways. But like a lot of people, and I'm sure in your community, I loved helping, but I couldn't receive. I felt icky asking people for money. I felt like I was doing something wrong. I felt like people would think I'd be really greedy if I asked for money. And that part of it really stumped me for a long time. And that's the hardest thing for entrepreneurs who just want to help, because you're stuck, especially if you're stuck in a job that you don't like and you're really not helping all the people that you want to help. It's a very disheartening place to be. And I was there for a long, long time myself. So when I decided to finally step out and be who I truly was, I became a life coach. That was my path to helping people. And then I became a business coach because I loved talking about business more than helping people with their jobs, for example. Then I noticed that every person I spoke to, every single client of mine, had these massive issues with money. They really didn't like talking about it with their clients. They struggled with receiving it like I had. And it made me realize that that's where I could help people most of all, by making money something that wasn't scary for women, but something that could be fun and friendly and down to earth and easy. Not so we can be billionaires, but just so we can receive money for what we do, use money as a tool for good in the world, and just stepping up and for women to be a little bit more powerful around money. So that's how I decided to go all in on the money side of it.
That is beautiful. Can you elaborate? Because I've heard you talk about how we do good with money. So can you elaborate on that a little more?
Yes. So this has been proven, right? There are studies that when women have money, what it does to economies. So we can look at third world economies where women, a lot of communities have nothing. You give women a hand up, like with the great work that Kiva does by doing loans. You help women and it changes communities because women spend money in ways that enrich our families enrich our communities and then enrich our economies. And then the same thing happens, I guess, in our countries. I live in Australia. I'm assuming you're in the States. And you give women more money, we have more purchasing power. And this is so needed in the world right now. We need people who care and have compassion. And I'm not saying that men do not have compassion. I absolutely am not saying that. But I'm saying that women have more. And I think that's a fair thing to say. Women, yes, we have more compassion and we spend our money in different ways. And at the moment, the world is still, we still have inequality in so many areas of society. And if women had more power around money, if we had more purchasing power, I think the world would be a better place. So we've got to stop thinking and blaming, oh, rich, greedy people are ruining the world. It's like money is neutral. Money can be a tool for good in the world, but that requires good people to have more money. And that means that for women, we need to be okay making more money, receiving more money, and allowing ourselves to spend it as well. So that's what I mean by that.
Love that. And I think that is so important. And I think kind of going back to your story and what the work is, right, is working through the mindset blocks, right? Like, how do we even get to where we can start to receive? Like, what are some of the things we can do?
Yes. So one of the biggest things I see for women in business is that there's no way for people to actually give them any money. And I want to go really practical here, right? How many people listening don't even have a website or don't even have a space on their website where someone can book in with them straight away? And I saw this with my astrologer a couple of years ago. She would put out all this great information, great newsletters about here's what's happening in the world at the moment, or I remember she did one about parenting, and she did a profile on me about being a Virgo mom. And I said to her, you're going to get a ton of people asking how they can get their own profiles here. So just put a link at the end of it saying, if you want your own parenting, astro report, click here. And she was so blocked around even doing that because she was so used to just giving with zero expectation in return. And I get the feeling around that. A lot of us have been taught that it's better to give than receive, but we take it to the extreme and we think that maybe we're being pushy or greedy by asking for something in return. So that's the very first thing that we can do, is just look around and see, where am I not even giving someone an opportunity to work with me further or to get more information or to use my help? Because free information or giving can only take people so far. And we know that true transformation comes when someone invests in themselves and goes deeper. So that could be making sure you've got it on your website or in your social media. Make sure that when you're giving, you also say, hey, if you want to work with me further, here's how you can do it. And it's like being a good hostess and offering someone dessert or coffee at the end of the meal. It's like, would you like this? Some people say, no, I'm done. But some people go, yes, oh my God, thank you for asking. So I think that's the very first, very practical thing that people can do, is to make sure that you even have a mechanism by which people can give you money. Because if you don't have that, you can't receive.
Yes, that is so important and also so practical. And it doesn't have to be fancy, just like you're saying, Denise. Like, it can literally be a link on the end of a blog post. And when I first started, it was like my PayPal.me.
Exactly.
And that's totally okay. You don't have to buy fancy shopping carts or anything, especially if you're starting.
Exactly. And I actually saw a page yesterday that was so inspired by it. It was actually a service from a book editor where he'll review your manuscript, your children's book manuscript. And it was this simple little page. And it was basically like, this is what I do. Here's who I help. There were 3 very brief testimonials, and here's a PayPal button. And then once you've paid, email me. And it was just like one page of scrolling. And I just thought, we just overcomplicate it so much, where we have to justify, or we just don't even have that information, or we make people jump through hoops to give us money. It's like, well, email me and then maybe I'll respond and maybe I won't. But it's like, oh, here's how you can work with me. Simple. Then you're in business.
Love that. Love that. Is there anything else, like, for the people who are like feeling that pushy feeling?
Yes. Now, this might not seem to have anything to do with money or business, but you can practice receiving in really small ways in your life. And it can start with receiving compliments, because this is going to have a knock-on effect to your money. And it's going to be very symbolic to the universe that, hey, I'm not just a giver, I can also receive graciously too. So I started saying, I receive that, like literally saying that out loud, because I really wanted to practice receiving. And I remember a friend of mine, we were at an ice cream shop, and she said, let me pay for your ice cream. And I forced myself to say, thank you, I received that. That's really nice of you. Because up until then, I'd been very much, oh no, I'll pay for it. No, let me. And rejecting small abundance and it's like a $5 ice cream. But I knew that if I rejected all of those little things, whether it's a compliment or, a $5 ice cream or a coffee, then I was going to reject the big things as well. So that's a real practice for some people. And it could be that someone says, you look nice today. And you go, no, I don't. I look like crap. My kids were up all night. You can just say, thank you. That's so nice of you. And for some of you listening, you're like, why can people not take a compliment? That sounds really weird. But some of you, this will be revolutionary. This will be like, I can't even let myself receive a free compliment that costs that person nothing, that costs me nothing to receive it. It's not greedy, but yet I can't even receive that, let alone more clients, more abundance in my life. So that's a great one. And I think everyone listening, you can probably get a chance to practice this in the next 24 hours and see how it feels.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a fun game. And I think too, like, the I receive it is so powerful. Like that, I will definitely try it with that wording.
Yeah,
I
it feels
think
a
that
little
could
awkward,
make it
but it's symbolic, right?
totally. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I think kind of along those lines, and one of the things that I find I'm doing a lot of coaching around is like the whole like loving the process. Because when you said tiny steps, I was like, and that's kind of how it works, right? Like you don't just get a client. It's like, okay, somebody booked a call and then somebody liked something on your Facebook, right? Like it goes, like the tiny steps can also go into seeing the abundance around us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of gratitude as a practice, because we know from the teachings of the law of attraction, you have to feel good where you are before you can allow more to come into your life. And that can be really tricky, in the real world where you feel the lack of what you want and you're just like, but I really don't have any clients. I really don't have any money. It's like a little bit of a mind trick to make yourself feel abundant in that space. But that's where true magic can come in, where you start to go, wow, I feel so lucky and abundant. And I'm ready and open for even more because I know I'm worthy of it. So gratitude practice can really tick a lot of boxes of deservingness, feeling worthy, but also just feeling good where you're at.
Love that. And you just touched on that word lucky and kind of magic and stuff. So can you talk a little bit more about like how you chose the name Lucky Bitch and like how, like what you see luck as, and a little bit more on that?
Sure. I read a book a couple of years ago called The Luck Factor, and I think it's by Richard Wiseman. And he talks about how this concept of lucky people or unlucky people, it's totally a mindset, it's an attitude, and that lucky people think in different ways than unlucky people. And it can often become very self-fulfilling. And the study that he did in it was he invited people to come to his office or a space to do some sort of study on luck. And they planted $5 notes outside the building on the ground. And they wanted to see which people found the money, the people who described themselves as lucky or the people who described themselves as unlucky. Same opportunity for both groups, but overwhelmingly it was the lucky people who found the money. And he did a whole study around it, like, why is that the case? And it's because people who describe themselves as lucky, they expect that good things are going to happen to them. And therefore, they're looking for good opportunities all of the time. And then they find them, and then it becomes self-fulfilling in itself. So when I read that, I started to ask myself, how can I re-engineer my brain to consider myself a lucky person? Because it wasn't the case. I actually thought that I was kind of unlucky. I never won anything. I never felt like the universe was on my side. I felt like I had to always push things. But I started just to train my brain, and I did it in little ways. So I started changing my self-talk. I started using affirmations. I really looked at some of my beliefs that I had about myself, about money, about success. And I did a ton of internal work. And then guess what? I started becoming luckier. And from the outside, it looked like this stuff was just happening to me. And I remember my friend, and this was years ago now. I mean, this was 12 years ago when I started to get luckier on the outside. She said, Denise, you are such a lucky bitch. And it was kind of said in a really, like, a little bit of a mocking way, but also it was just kind of like, a bit of a jealousy way as well. But because I knew all this stuff that I was doing behind the scenes, really trying to deliberately change my thoughts and feelings, deliberately trying to create that space, I didn't think it was luck at all. I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing X, Y, Z. But it didn't matter. And then other people started saying, oh, you're so lucky. And I lived in the UK at the time, and my friends were calling me a jammy bitch, which is the kind of the same thing as a lucky bitch. It means just, you're such a chancer. I can't believe all this stuff is happening to you. So I decided to call my company Lucky Bitch and my book Lucky Bitch. And I'm actually in the process of changing it at the moment back to my name. But it serves such a great purpose because that's what happens if you've got a great marriage or, a great body, you're really healthy, or you've got an amazing business. From the outside, everyone's going to think that it just happened to you. But you can reverse engineer it. You can create your own luck. You can create those circumstances for yourself where it looks like the universe is just, rearranging itself for you, not realizing that you've met the universe halfway. And I always say up front too, it's like, well, I hope no one's offended by the lucky bitch thing. It's definitely not about being a bitch. It's definitely not about being mean. But it's kind of a cheeky acknowledgement of the fact that you create your own luck, 100%.
Wow, that is so fascinating. Like, I am blown away by that study. And when you said it, I really resonated with like being the person that doesn't consider them too lucky. But I think like that is such an awesome hat that I'm willing to try on, And I've been a student of Denise's, for everyone listening, for a couple of years now. And like the work that we've done is so internal, but like this last little bit of like, and I'm a lucky person. Like, because think about it though, right? Like we live in the first world countries. We are really, really, really lucky compared to the rest of the world, right?
Mm-hmm. We are. And anytime I've felt down about, anything the last couple of years, I remind myself that we're all 1%ers. We really are. If you've got internet and food and all that kind of stuff, clean air, clean water, you're extremely lucky. And you probably don't know this, but Australia, we call ourselves the lucky country. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
No,
and
I didn't.
Because we've got a safe country, we've got good economy, all that kind of stuff. And so we say it's called the lucky country. But it even starts with self-talk around how you speak about yourself and your opportunities. And I've heard people say, I never win anything. Or I know this isn't going to work out for me. It's like, you've got to change that stuff because what you're saying reflects your beliefs and that reflects your actions. If you say to yourself, I never win anything, you're less likely to even put yourself forward for things because you really believe it's not going to happen anyway. So what's the point? And sometimes I've put myself forward for things because I say, hey, I'm really lucky. And then realizing that the pool of people who actually put themselves forward is very low. And so you've actually got great chance of just winning just by putting yourself out there because so many people are down on themselves. Well, it's not going to work out anyway. What's the point? Or the economy is really bad. No one will pay for what I have to offer. It's like, yes, they will. There's clients out there for you. How many do you need?
Totally.
You might need a couple of weeks. So it starts with you. It doesn't start with, the world changing or the economy getting better. It has to start with you. And usually that starts with your mindset.
Love that. And the wording, like that is so, so helpful. And I wonder too, like, I want to just switch gears a little bit because I know you have some little ones at home, and a lot of my audience is moms. So I want to ask you just a couple things about the whole like thing about being a mom and doing service type work, right? Like, so most of the people listening have service-based businesses where it does require, trading dollars for hours, at least for some of their work. So how can somebody in that position like work on their money mindset to start to receive more passive income stuff?
Oh, yes. Great question. So, yes, I am a mom. I've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they're equal parts lovely and horrible. And yeah, it's really tricky when you've got things on and, especially if you've got client work to do or you've got deadlines. It's really stressful because that's when the time that they wake up or they want you or someone calls in sick and you can't help you, or they're sick and they can't go to daycare, and it's really, really stressful. So I love encouraging mums, well, everyone really, but mums definitely, to embrace more passive income sources in their business, even if you start really, really small. And the way you can start is maybe an ebook, and it could be an ebook of all the things that you teach your one-to-one clients. And people start to have a bit of a scarcity feeling about it when I say things like that, because they're like, I can't give away all my secrets. And it's like, you know what, give them all away, because people will still want to work with you because they want that deeper transformation, that personal attention that you can give. And those things are a business card for your one-to-one services. And I've embraced this myself. My Money Bootcamp, which is my, flagship program, you can read my book, Get Rich Lucky Bitch, and get a lot of the concepts that we teach on the bootcamp. But it's not the same. It's not the same. So you can absolutely create something small. You can create something that you feel might be really obvious to you or that's really easy for you. Could be the spreadsheets or the systems that you teach, because it solves a problem for someone else. Now, the mindset piece, though, that comes up for people is people won't pay for that, or why should people pay for that if they can get it for free somewhere else, or worrying that you're not going to get any clients out of it. Or the biggest one actually that comes for a lot of people is this feeling that passive income is cheating, that it's not attached to effort, so therefore you can't earn money for it. And I definitely experienced this myself when I created my first passive income product, which was my book, my first book, Lucky Bitch. I sold it for $10 on my site. I don't even think it was automated. I think when someone bought it, I actually had to then manually email them. But every time someone bought that book, I felt a twinge of guilt that I didn't earn that money, that I had to call them up and read it to them over the phone to earn that $10. And I hear this a lot from women, that passive income sounds like a nice concept, but in reality, it makes us feel like we've cheated, like we didn't earn it, like we're not good enough. So what I want everyone to hear, especially your audience, because you love helping people, is that when you do something like that, it actually is an amplification of your message. You can reach a ton more people by putting your work into something like an ebook or a course that people can access anytime. But not only that, it's like using your oxygen mask first. It's making sure that your needs are met through passive income sources can be a great way to do that. And then it frees up your time and space that you can create even more for other people. So you could create a real book, like a big, published book. That takes time and energy to do that. It means that you could create tons of content on your blog to help even more people. But what I see people do the opposite. They think, oh my God, I have to burn myself out working only one-to-one with people to be worthy. And you don't have any time and space to actually create things that would help you help even more people. And that's what passive income can do. It can really be a nice buffer, and it can create abundance for you, but it also can help you serve a ton more people. So it's normal to resist it, but it's amazing if you can push through that resistance. And obviously that's something that I can help people with.
Totally. And I want to, like, your course, like, that is one of the biggest and most life transformational pieces that I learned through the boot camp, because I was that person that was like, and I will always do only one-on-one coaching. Because, I had some serious money mindset blocks around serving people and helping people. And like you said, when the first time I got a testimonial from somebody who took my little 5-video mini tiny course, they were like, you changed my life. And I was like, and I haven't even spoken to you. So it was really hard to receive that, but also really reflecting to me that you can make an impact with these things that seem small to you, but make a difference for your people.
Absolutely. And that's okay for you to not have to work really hard to do that. And I never say to people, you shouldn't do one-to-one. I personally don't do one-to-one because it doesn't suit my personality and it doesn't feel good for me. I don't feel like I can serve people well in that way. But a very nice, simple business model could be that you have, one ebook or one little course, and that gets you your clients. So you get a little bit of passive income from those, and then you can still do your one-to-one work. But it also means that if you have someone who, let's say, is a bit of a not very nice client, you don't have to take every client that comes to you if you've got a little bit of a buffer in other areas. I've been there myself where I felt like I really needed the money. So I've worked with people that, weren't very nice to deal with. That's what passive income can do as well, is to help you be mindful, not even just choosy, because choosy implies it's a bit judgy, but be mindful about the people that you can work with. And that's a really simple business model. 1 or 2 passive income things and you're one-to-one. That's great.
Yeah, that's a great bit of advice. Thank you so much. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on. I know we need to wrap it up. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we go?
Yeah, so I've got a brand new money workshop actually. It's called Reclaim Your Money Power. And Mariana will add the links in the show notes to where to get that. But it really talks about the calling that is available for us at the moment. And it's not about being the loudest voice. It's not about being, super ambitious or type A or working harder. It's really about this quiet, soft, feminine power that a lot of us can embrace fully to really start to shape the world as we want to see it. And that requires all of us to do it. And it doesn't have to be scary. It can be really gentle, but it is really about reclaiming that power for ourselves. And it's going to have ripple effects. It will have ripple effects beyond your family. It will have ripple effects to your community. And you don't even have to talk about money with your clients for it to have an impact in other people's lives as well. When you deal with your money stuff, you will see it reflected back to you in so many amazing ways. And the question I always ask myself when I'm feeling doubtful is, why not me? And I want everyone to ask that same question to themselves. Why not me? It's totally your time. It's our time. So I would love to see you guys in that workshop, and please just check out the link that Mariana will post in the show notes.
Wow, thank you so much. That is really powerful, and I can't wait to join. So Thank you everybody for tuning in, and have an awesome day. Thanks so much for tuning into the Impact Driven Entrepreneur. Be sure to hit subscribe so that you can catch the next episode wherever you're listening to this. Have an awesome day. Chat with you soon.